Dawn hasn't broken yet, but you're already awake. Not because you want to be, but because your body knows. The cold has been seeping into your bones for hours now, working its way through the layer of fur you're sleeping on, through the animal hide wrapped around your shoulders, into your joints and muscles. You've been shifting position all night, trying to find warmth that doesn't exist, listening to the sounds of 20 other people doing exactly the same thing. This is life 40,000 years ago in Ice Age Europe, and you're about to live through a completely ordinary day that would kill most modern humans within a week. The shelter isn't really a shelter in the way you'd think of one. It's a shallow cave, more of an overhang really, maybe 30 feet deep and 50 feet wide. The entrance faces southeast to catch the morning sun when it finally appears. Someone in your group, probably generations ago, figured out that caves facing this direction are warmer. That knowledge got passed down. Now, it's just what everyone knows. South-facing caves are better. You don't know why, in any scientific sense. You just know that it's true. There's a fire smouldering near the entrance. It's been kept alive all night. Someone's job, rotating through the group, is to make sure it never goes completely out. Because starting a fire from scratch is hard. Really hard. It can take hours, even if you know exactly what you're doing. Even if you have the right materials. Even if the weather cooperates. Fire is life. Fire is the difference between eating and starving, between warmth and hypothermia, between sleeping safely and becoming something else's meal. So the fire never goes out. Not if you can help it. When the group moves to a new location, someone carries embers in a special container made from hollowed bark stuffed with dried moss. You've seen people weep when those embers died during a rainstorm. You shift again, and the movement wakes the person sleeping next to you. Your sister, though that word wouldn't mean much in a language that exists mostly for practical communication. She's 17, you're 23. In modern terms, you're both extraordinarily young. In your world, you're adults who've survived long enough to know things, to be valuable, to teach. She sits up, pulling her furs tighter. Her breath comes out in visible clouds. It's probably around 30 degrees Fahrenheit in the cave right now. Outside, it's colder, maybe 20 degrees. This is autumn, so it's relatively mild. In 2 months, temperatures will regularly drop below zero. The fire brightens slightly. Someone's added fuel. You can see them now in the flickering light. One of the older men, probably in his 40s, though he looks ancient. Missing teeth, scarred face, limp from an injury that never healed right. But his hands are steady as he places branches on the fire, arranging them just so, to maximize heat and minimize smoke. He knows fire like you know your own breathing. He's been tending fires since before you were born. He survived 2 winters that killed half the group. He knows things. No one speaks yet. Speech isn't wasted in your world. You communicate when there's something worth communicating. Right now, everyone's focused on the same thing. Getting warm enough to function. Pushing back the cold that's been pressing on you all night. You stand, joints cracking. Your back aches. It always aches in the morning. You're 23 years old, and your body already carries the accumulated damage of a lifetime of physical stress. That deer you helped bring down last week, you took a fall during the chase, landed wrong. Something in your lower back hasn't felt right since. It might heal, it might not. There's nothing to be done about it either way. Your bladder is uncomfortably full. You've been ignoring it for hours because getting up meant leaving the minimal warmth of your sleeping furs. But now you're up, so you might as well deal with it. You walk to the edge of the cave, to the designated area. Yes, designated area. You're not animals. You understand cause and effect. You know that if everyone urinates and defecates right in the living space, disease follows. Sickness, death. So there's a spot, away from where you sleep, away from the fire, away from where food is prepared. It's not sanitation in any modern sense, but it's not random either. The sky outside is just starting to lighten. Not sunrise yet, but that pre-dawn grey that means morning is coming. You can see your breath. You can see frost on the ground. You can see the valley below, still wrapped in darkness, and beyond it, the hills where you'll be hunting today. If you're lucky, the cold hits you like a physical blow. 30 degrees inside the cave felt cold. 20 degrees out here feels lethal. You do what you need to do quickly and retreat back to the fire. Others are stirring now. There are 23 people in your group. This is actually a good size. Not too small to hunt effectively or defend yourselves. Not so large that you can't find enough food. You know groups that are bigger. You've encountered them at the gathering places. Some have 40 or 50 people, but they're always struggling, always hungry, always moving, because they've exhausted the resources in one area. Your group has found a balance. 23 people is manageable. There are 5 family units, though, again, family in your world doesn't map neatly onto modern concepts. There's your unit, you, your sister, your mother, who's still alive at 42, which makes her extraordinary, your younger brother, who's 11 and learning to hunt, and your mother's current partner, who's not your father. Your father died 3 winters ago. Pneumonia, though you don't have a word for it. He got sick, coughed blood, and died. Your mother took a new partner within months, because survival isn't sentimental. She needed someone to hunt, someone to provide, someone to help. Protect the family unit. Love, in the romantic sense modern humans would understand, is a luxury your world doesn't afford. Partnerships are practical arrangements based on mutual survival benefit. The other 4 family units follow similar patterns. There's a pair of elderly women, sisters, who are the group's knowledge keepers. They know plants. They know which ones heal and which ones kill. They know where to find food when the hunting is bad. They know the stories, the warnings, the accumulated survival wisdom of generations. There are 3 young men, unpartnered, who do most of the dangerous hunting. They're fast, strong, willing to take risks because they're young enough to think they're invincible. 2 of them won't live to see 30. One will die from an infected wound. The other will be killed by a cave bear. You don't know this yet, but they do. On some level, they understand their odds. There's a young woman with 2 small children and no partner. Her partner was killed 6 months ago during a hunt. A bison gored him. He bled out in minutes. Now she's dependent on the generosity of the group, and it's a precarious position. She works harder than anyone, gathering firewood, processing hides, preparing food, making herself indispensable because she knows that if the group decides she's more burden than benefit, she and her children won't survive the winter. This is the mathematics of survival in the Ice Age. Brutal, unforgiving, efficient. The fire is growing now. Someone's added larger branches. The heat is reaching further into the cave. People are gathering around it, drawn like moths, hands extended toward the warmth. Still, No one speaks, but communication is happening. Eye contact, gestures, a nod toward the entrance, a glance at the sky, an assessment of the weather being made collectively without words. The old man who was tending the fire earlier makes a sound, not quite a word, more like a grunt with inflection. Everyone looks at him. He points south, towards the valley, then makes a walking gesture with 2 fingers. Then he holds up 3 fingers. 3 people, hunting, south. This is decided, not through discussion, not through debate, through a kind of gestural consensus that happens so fast you barely register it. The 3 young men stand. They know they're going. This is their role. They move to the back of the cave where the weapons are kept. Spears, the primary hunting weapon of your world, not the simple pointed sticks you might imagine. These are sophisticated tools, the product of hours of careful work. The shafts are made from straight-grained wood, carefully selected and seasoned. The points are stone, knapped flint that's been shaped with incredible precision into wickedly sharp blades, then bound to the shaft with sinew and sealed with pine resin. Making a single spear point can take days. The napper has to understand the internal structure of the flint, how it will fracture, where to strike to, remove flakes in exactly the right pattern. It's a skill that takes years to learn, decades to master, and even then, more points break than succeed. The 3 young hunters each take 2 spears, one for throwing, one for thrusting if they get close. They also take flint knives, tucked into leather pouches at their waists, and pieces of fire starter material, dried moss, bits of fungus that catch sparks easily, strips of birch bark that burn even when wet. Your younger brother, the 11-year-old, stands up. He wants to go. You can see it in his eyes. He's been practicing with a spear for months. He thinks he's ready. One of the hunters looks at him, looks at you. You're the boy's primary guardian since your father died. The decision is yours. You shake your head. Not yet. He's not ready. You've seen what happens when inexperienced hunters go after large game. You've seen someone get trampled by a reindeer. You've seen a young man get his leg broken by a wounded auroch. Your brother is learning, but he's not ready for this. The boy's face falls, but he doesn't argue. He knows better. Argument is pointless in your world. Decisions about survival are made by those with experience, and challenging them can get you excluded from the group, which means death. The hunters leave, just like that. No ceremony, no elaborate preparation. They walk out into the pre-dawn cold and disappear into the landscape. They might be gone for hours. They might be gone for days. They might not come back at all. This is normal. This is every day. Now, the rest of the group begins the day's work, because hunting is only one part of survival. The less glamorous but equally important work is gathering, processing, maintaining. Your mother and the 2 elderly women are preparing to gather plants. There's a grove about 2 miles east where certain roots grow. They're bitter and tough, but they're nutritious, and they're available even in autumn when most plant food is scarce. The women will spend most of the day digging them up, enough to feed the group for several days. Your sister joins them. She's learning from the old women, absorbing their knowledge of plants. Which ones are food? Which ones are medicine? Which ones will kill you? There's no written record of this information, no field guide, just memory and teaching. If these old women die before passing on what they know, that knowledge dies with them. They gather their digging sticks, simple tools made from hardwood with fire-hardened points. They wrap extra hides around their shoulders. They take leather bags for carrying what they find. Then they leave, heading east, chattering among themselves now in the clicking, vowel-heavy language of your people. The single mother is preparing to process a hide. 3 days ago, the group killed a red deer. The meat was eaten immediately, nothing wasted. But the hide needs to be processed, or it will rot. This is grueling work. The hide has to be scraped clean of fat and tissue, treated with a mixture of brain matter and fat to make it supple, then worked and worked and worked until it's soft enough to be useful. It will take her all day. Her hands will be raw and bleeding by the time she's done. But the hide will become clothing or a sleeping fur or a bag for carrying things. Nothing is wasted. Every part of every animal is used, has to be used. You and your mother's partner are tasked with gathering firewood. This is constant, never-ending work. The fire consumes an enormous amount of wood. In winter, it takes most of a tree trunk to keep the fire burning through a single night. So, every day, someone needs to find more fuel. You take a stone axe. Not an axe in the modern sense. More like a large piece of flint that's been shaped to have a sharp edge, then bound to a wooden handle. It's heavy and awkward, and chopping wood with it is exhausting. But it's what you have. You head north, toward a stand of dead trees you spotted last week. Dead wood burns better than green wood. Less smoke, more heat. You learned this from experience, from watching what works and what doesn't, from the accumulated trial and error of thousands of people over thousands of years. The landscape around you is beautiful in a harsh, austere way. Rolling hills covered in low vegetation, scattered stands of pine and birch. In the distance, you can see the glacier, a massive wall of ice that dominates the northern horizon. It's been there your entire life. It was there for your mother's entire life. It will be there for your children's lives if you have children. You don't know that it's shrinking, that in 10,000 years it will be gone. To you, it's just part of the world, permanent, unchangeable. You reach the dead trees and begin work. Each swing of the axe sends vibrations through your arms and shoulders. The wood is hard, frozen from last night's cold. It takes dozens of strikes to cut through even a small branch. Your partner works beside you, not speaking. There's nothing to say. This is work. Necessary, repetitive, physical. You'll spend 3 hours here, cutting wood, breaking branches into manageable sizes, stacking them for carrying back to the cave. The sun rises fully while you work. The temperature climbs to maybe 40 degrees. This is warm by your standards. You actually sweat a little, which is dangerous, because when you stop working, the sweat will make you colder. You know this, so you pace yourself. Work hard enough to stay warm, but not so hard that you sweat. Around midday, you stop to eat. Food is carried with you always. A piece of dried meat from last week's kill, tough and salty from the smoking process. A handful of nuts that your sister gathered yesterday. You eat slowly, mechanically, extracting every bit of nutrition from the small amount of food. Water is from a nearby stream. You kneel beside it and drink directly, cupping your hands to scoop the icy water to your mouth. There's a risk of parasites, of waterborne illness, but you don't know that. You just know that this stream tastes good, and people who drink from it don't usually get sick. That's enough. You notice something while you're drinking. Tracks in the mud at the stream's edge. Large, deep impressions. Cave bear. Recent, probably from last night. The bear came here to drink, then moved on. The tracks lead west, away from your territory. This is important information. Cave bears are dangerous. They're larger than modern grizzlies, more aggressive, and they compete with humans for the same cave shelters. A cave bear deciding to den in your shelter would be a catastrophe. The group would have to leave, find new shelter before winter, hope they could find something suitable. So you make note of the tracks. You'll mention them tonight. The group will decide whether to post watchers or set up noisemakers to discourage the bear from coming closer. You return to cutting wood. Another hour of work. Your hands are blistered. Your shoulders ache. The physical toll of this lifestyle accumulates daily. You're 23, and your body is already breaking down. But everyone's body is breaking down. This is normal. By early afternoon, you've gathered enough wood. You and your partner fashion rough carrying frames from branches, load them with wood, and begin the trek back to the cave. Each load weighs maybe 60 pounds. You'll make this trip twice more today. When you return to the cave, things are happening. The hunters are back, earlier than expected, and they've got something. A young auroch, not fully grown, maybe a yearling, but still a significant kill. The animal weighs perhaps 400 pounds. It's been field dressed, gutted to reduce the weight, and the 3 hunters are dragging it on a crude sledge made from branches. This is cause for something approaching celebration. Not joy, exactly. Your people don't really do joy in the way modern humans would understand it. But there's a sense of relief, of accomplished purpose. Tonight there will be meat. Enough meat for everyone. Maybe enough to smoke and preserve for later. The entire group converges on the kill. The elderly women take charge. They're the ones who know how to butcher efficiently, how to separate hide from flesh without wasting anything, how to identify the choice cuts versus the tough meat that needs longer cooking, how to extract every edible part, including organs that modern humans would never consider eating. The butchering takes hours. It's surgical in its precision. Nothing is wasted. Nothing can be wasted. The liver, kidneys, heart, all consumed first because they spoil quickly. The tongue, brain, bone marrow, all extracted and distributed. The large muscle groups are separated and prepared for smoking. The smaller scraps are collected for immediate cooking. Your job is to prepare the smoking frame. This is a structure of green branches positioned over a low fire. The meat will hang there for days, slowly drying and absorbing smoke that acts as a preservative. If done correctly, the meat will last for weeks. If done incorrectly, it will mold or rot, and all this work will be wasted. The hide is given to the single mother, more processing work for her, but also acknowledgement. She's being included, being given resources. This means the group has decided she's worth keeping. She and her children will survive the winter. Probably. As the sun begins to set, the fire is built up larger than usual. Fresh meat is spitted on green branches and positioned over the flames. The smell is intoxicating. Rich, fatty, primal. Your mouth waters. You haven't had fresh meat in 5 days. Your body is desperate for the calories, the protein, the fat. But you wait. Everyone waits. The elderly women eat first. This is the hierarchy. Age equals knowledge equals value. They've survived the longest. They know the most. They eat first. Then the hunters who made the kill. Then the adults who contribute to group survival. Then the children. Then, if there's anything left, the young unproven members. You're in the middle tier. You eat well tonight. A chunk of auroch backstrap, charred on the outside, rare on the inside. It's tough, and you have to tear at it with your teeth, but it's delicious in a way that no modern meal could replicate. This is food earned through direct physical effort. Food that means survival. Food that your body recognizes at a cellular level as exactly what it needs. Around the fire, with bellies full for the first time in days, the group finally relaxes. This is when speech happens, when stories are told, when knowledge is passed on. One of the elderly women begins speaking, not to anyone in particular, just speaking into the firelight. She's telling the story of the Great Cold, a winter 3 generations ago, when the temperature dropped so low that trees split from the frost, when the river froze solid, when half the group died. You've heard this story before. Everyone has, but it's told again because embedded in the story are survival lessons. What the survivors did right, what they did wrong, how they made it through, the specific details that might save your life if another great cold comes. She talks about how they moved into a deeper cave, how they burned fat for warmth when wood ran out, how they ate leather when the food ran out, how they survived by making hard choices that haunt the survivors still. Her sister adds details. Between them, they reconstruct the winter in vivid, practical terms. Not entertainment. Education. The story is a survival manual encoded in narrative form. Your younger brother is listening intently. He's at the age where he's absorbing everything, learning not just skills, but the decision-making framework that keeps people alive in this world. When to retreat, when to push forward, when to conserve resources, when to take risks. Then one of the hunters speaks. He describes today's hunt, not boasting, just reporting. They tracked the auroch herd for 6 miles. They identified the young one as a target. They separated it from the herd using coordinated movement. They cornered it against a cliff face. They killed it with spears, and one spear struck just right, hitting a vital organ, and the animal died quickly. He also describes what went wrong. One hunter slipped during the chase and nearly got trampled. They realize they need to be more careful on frost-covered ground. This, too, is a lesson. Shared knowledge that might save someone's life later. The fire burns down slowly. The conversation winds down with it. People drift back to their sleeping areas, wrapping themselves in furs, positioning themselves as close to the fire as possible, without getting in the way of whoever is on fire-tending duty tonight. You lie down next to your sister again. Your belly is full. Your body is exhausted from the day's work. The warmth from the fire is reaching you, making the cold bearable. Tomorrow you'll do this again. Gather food, process materials, maintain the fire, look for threats, share what you have, survive another day. This is life 40,000 years ago. No grand adventures, no dramatic events, just the grinding, relentless work of staying alive in a world that's trying very hard to kill you. And you're good at it. Your people are good at it. You've been doing this for thousands of generations. You've refined survival into an art form. You know this landscape better than you know anything else. You know where food is in every season. You know where water flows. You know where the dangerous animals den and where the safe caves are. You don't know that you're making history. You don't know that your direct descendants will eventually build cities and invent agriculture and create civilizations that span continents. To you, this is just life, the only life you've ever known, the only life you can imagine. But you are making history, Every day you survive, every piece of knowledge you accumulate, every adaptation you make to the challenges of Ice Age Europe, these are the foundations of everything that comes after. You're not primitive. You're exactly as intelligent as any modern human. Your brain is the same size, has the same capabilities, processes information in exactly the same ways. If you were transported to the modern world as an infant, you could become a doctor, or a physicist, or an artist. There's nothing intellectually limiting about being a Paleolithic human. What's different is your knowledge base. You know an enormous amount about surviving in the Ice Age. You can read weather patterns, track animals, identify plants, make tools, process materials, navigate without maps or compasses. You have a PhD in Ice Age survival, but you don't know about agriculture. You don't know about metallurgy. You don't know about writing or mathematics, or any of the technologies that will be invented in the next few thousand years. Not because you couldn't understand them, but because they haven't been invented yet. Your world is small. Your group of 23 people, the territory you can walk in a day, the few other groups you encounter at seasonal gathering places. That's your entire universe. You don't know what's beyond the horizon. You don't know that there are other continents, other human populations, other ways of living. But within your small world, you're experts, masters of your environment, survivors of one of the harshest periods in human history. The fire crackles. Someone adds more wood. Outside the cave, the temperature is dropping towards 0. In a few hours, it will be brutally cold. But inside, with the fire burning and 23 people sharing warmth, it's bearable. You close your eyes. Sleep comes quickly when you're this exhausted. Your dreams, when they come, are about hunting, about tracking animals through snow, about the satisfaction of a clean kill, about meat and survival, and another day earned. This is Tuesday. Or it would be if you had a concept of days of the week. To you, it's just another sunrise and sunset in an endless succession of sunrises and sunsets. You don't count them. You don't mark calendars. You live in the immediate present, focused on today's survival with minimal thought for tomorrow, and almost no thought for next week or next month, except for the seasons. You understand seasons. You know that winter is coming. You can feel it in the air, see it in the behavior of animals, observe it in the changing vegetation. Winter is a thing to prepare for, to fear, to respect. So the work continues. Every day, gathering resources for winter, collecting firewood, processing hides, smoking meat, making and repairing tools, building up reserves against the coming cold. You've seen 3 winters. The first one you barely remember. You were too young. The second one was mild. The third one killed 4 people in your group. Pneumonia, hypothermia, starvation. You remember watching an old man die, coughing and shaking, unable to get warm no matter how close to the fire he got. You remember the morning when someone checked on him and he was cold and still and gone. This winter might be mild, it might be severe. You have no way of knowing, no weather forecasts, no long-term predictions. You just prepare the best you can and hope. The next morning follows the same pattern. Wake before dawn, move toward the fire, assess the weather, decide on the day's tasks. The hunters go out again, the gatherers go out again. You spend another day cutting and hauling firewood. This is your life, day after day, season after season. Wake, work, eat, sleep, repeat. But it's not meaningless. Every day you survive is a victory against enormous odds. Every skill you learn makes you more valuable to the group. Every piece of knowledge you acquire might save your life or someone else's life someday. You're 23 years old. In modern terms, you're young. In your world, you're approaching middle age. You might live to 40 if you're lucky, 50 if you're extraordinarily lucky, but probably not. Probably something will kill you before then. An injury that gets infected, a disease, a predator, starvation during a bad winter, violence from a rival group. Your odds aren't good. But you don't think about odds. You think about today, about the work that needs to be done today, about the food you'll eat today, about surviving until tomorrow. And that's enough. That has to be enough. Because this is what it means to be human 40,000 years ago. To live in the immediate present. To work constantly for survival. To know that death is always close, but keep going anyway. To find small satisfactions in simple things. Warmth when you're cold. Food when you're hungry. Companionship in a harsh world. A week passes. The auroch meat is nearly gone. The group will need another kill soon. The plant gathering is getting harder as autumn progresses. The easy foods are gone. What's left requires more effort to find, more work to process. The hunters go out every other day. Sometimes they come back with something. A deer, a few rabbits. Once a wolverine that fought so viciously it injured one hunter before being killed. Sometimes they come back empty-handed. Those are hungry nights. Meals of dried meat from previous kills, stringy and tough. Meals of roots and nuts that barely fill your stomach. Your body is lean. Everyone's body is lean. Body fat is something you accumulate in summer and autumn, then burn through in winter. By spring, if you survive, you'll be skeletal. Your cheeks will be hollow. Your ribs will show. You'll be weak and desperate for the abundance of summer to return. This is normal. This is every year, the cycle of feast and famine that shapes your existence. One evening, there's tension in the group. Two of the young hunters got into a physical altercation. One accused the other of taking more than his share of food. Fists were thrown. Blood was drawn. This is serious. Group cohesion is everything in your world. Division, fighting, mistrust, these can tear a group apart. And a fractured group is a dead group. You can't survive alone in the Ice Age. You need cooperation, shared effort, collective knowledge. The elderly women intervene. They don't shout or lecture. They just remind the fighters of the consequences. They tell a story about a group that split due to internal conflict. Half went one way, half went another. Neither half was large enough to survive effectively. Within a year, both groups were gone. Dead. All of them. The message is clear. Resolve your differences or everyone dies. The fighters reconcile. Grudgingly, but they do it. Because the alternative is unthinkable. This is social regulation in your world. Not laws, not police. Just collective understanding that certain behaviors threaten group survival and therefore cannot be tolerated. It's not about morality in any abstract sense. It's about practical survival. Another week, another kill. This time a reindeer, smaller than the auroch, but still welcome. The meat is distributed. The hide is processed. The bones are cracked open for marrow. Nothing is wasted. Your brother is allowed to join the hunt this time, just to observe, not to participate. But he's learning, watching how the hunters move, how they communicate silently, how they coordinate to separate a target from the herd. He comes back exhausted, but exhilarated. He saw the kill. He was close enough to see the spear strike, to see the animal fall. He's one step closer to being a hunter himself. One step closer to being fully valuable to the group. The seasons turn. Autumn deepens toward winter. The temperature drops consistently now. Frost every morning. Ice on the stream. The vegetation is dying back, going dormant until spring. The group's activity changes. Less ranging far from the cave. More focus on preparation and maintenance. Firewood stockpiles grow. Hides are checked and repaired. Tools are made and sharpened. Everyone's working on the same implicit timeline. Winter is coming. Be ready. You've noticed something about your body. A pain in your left side that won't go away. It started a few weeks ago after you helped drag a downed tree back to the cave. Just a twinge at first. Now it's constant. Sometimes sharp, sometimes dull. Always there. You don't mention it. There's nothing to be done about it anyway. No doctors, no medicine beyond what the elderly women know about plant remedies. You're either tough enough to work through the pain, or you're not. Complaining accomplishes nothing, so you work through it. Cutting wood, hauling supplies, doing your share, because the alternative is being seen as weak, as a burden, and burdens don't survive winter. The nights are getting longer. The cold is getting deeper. The fire needs to be bigger now to keep the cave warm, which means more firewood, which means more work. One night, you're on fire tending duty. This means staying awake while everyone else sleeps, feeding the fire every hour or so, making sure it doesn't die. It's exhausting, fighting sleep while cold and tired and bored. But it's necessary. The fire is life. You sit close to the flames, watching them dance. Orange and yellow light casting moving shadows on the cave walls. Beyond the firelight, darkness absolute. No moon tonight. No stars visible through the overcast sky. Just darkness and cold, and the small circle of warmth and light that the fire creates. You think about nothing in particular. Your mind wanders in the way minds do when there's no stimulation. Memories of previous hunts, thoughts about the coming winter, idle speculation about whether the stream will freeze solid this year. You add more wood to the fire. The flames grow. Heat radiates outward. For a few minutes, the cave is genuinely warm. Then the cold creeps back in, pressing against the warmth, waiting to reclaim the space. This is your life. Fire against darkness, warmth against cold, life against death. Every day, every night, the same struggle. And you're winning for now. Still alive, still functional, still contributing. Hours pass. Your shift ends. You wake your replacement, one of the young hunters. He grunts acknowledgement, moves to the fire, settles in for his watch. You retreat to your sleeping furs, curl up next to your sister's warmth, and fall instantly into exhausted sleep. Morning comes. Another day begins. The routine repeats. This is Tuesday. This is Wednesday. This is every day. Wake, assess, work, eat, sleep. The calendar means nothing because you don't have a calendar. You have seasons, and you have days, and that's enough. Winter arrives in force. Snow falls for 3 days straight. Not the light dustings of early autumn, but heavy, wet snow that accumulates to knee depth. The world outside the cave transforms into a white expanse. Beautiful and deadly. The hunting becomes nearly impossible. Animals have denned or migrated. The ones that remain are wary, desperate, as hungry as you are. The hunters go out and come back empty-handed more often than not. Food becomes scarce. The group eats through the smoked meat reserves faster than anticipated. Rationing begins. Smaller portions. Longer stretches between meals. Bellies that are never quite full. Your body adapts. It's done this before. Metabolism slows. Energy is conserved. Non-essential functions shut down. Your hair stops growing. Your nails become brittle. Your body is eating itself, burning muscle and fat to survive. Everyone is thinner. Faces are gaunt. Eyes are hollow. The children cry from hunger sometimes, but not often. They've learned that crying accomplishes nothing. The elderly women go out even in the snow, digging for roots under the frozen ground. They find some. Not much, but some. Every little bit helps. Meals are sparse, a handful of nuts, a piece of dried meat the size of your palm, a root, bitter and tough, that you chew slowly to extract every bit of nutrition. This is the reality of Ice Age winter. Hunger, cold, survival measured in days and weeks, not months or years. 2 people die, one of the young hunters and one of the children. The hunter from an infected wound that won't heal. The child from a fever that won't break. You watch them decline, watch them weaken, watch them die. There's nothing to be done. No medicine that works. No interventions that help. Just the cold mathematics of survival. Some make it, some don't. The bodies are taken outside and left in the snow. There's no burial ceremony, no religious ritual, just practical disposal. The bodies will freeze and the scavengers will take care of the rest. The group is smaller now, 21 instead of 23. You all feel the loss, but not in any sentimental way. You feel it practically. 2 fewer hunters, 2 fewer people to share the work. The group is weaker because of the deaths, but you keep going, because what else can you do? Giving up means dying. So, you don't give up. The winter grinds on, week after week of cold and hunger and darkness. The fire is your world, the small circle of warmth and light. Beyond it, nothing but cold and death. You develop a cough, dry and persistent. Your chest hurts. You're probably developing some kind of respiratory infection. Your body is weakened by hunger and stress, vulnerable to disease. You try to rest when you can. Try to stay warm. Try to give your body a chance to fight off whatever is attacking it. But rest is a luxury. There's still work to be done. Firewood to gather. Food to search for. The fire to tend. So, you work through the cough. Work through the chest pain. Work through the exhaustion. Because stopping means becoming a burden. And burdens don't survive. Weeks pass. The cough persists, but doesn't worsen. Your body is fighting, holding the line, not winning, but not losing either. You remain functional. That's enough. One morning, you wake to a different quality of light. The usual pre-dawn grey has a warmer tone. The air, while still cold, doesn't have the same brutal edge. The thaw is coming. Winter is ending. It's subtle at first. A few degrees warmer each day. The snow begins to melt. Patches of ground appear. The stream, which had frozen solid, begins to flow again. And with the thaw, life returns. Animals emerge from their winter dens. Plants begin to grow. Food becomes available again. The hunters bring back a kill. A deer, thin from winter, but still meat. Real meat, fresh meat. The first in weeks. The group eats, not rationed portions, not carefully measured shares. Real eating, filling bellies that have been empty too long. The relief is almost overwhelming. You feel your body respond. Energy returning, strength rebuilding. The cough begins to fade. Your chest stops hurting. You're recovering. Spring arrives. The world explodes into life. Green everywhere. Animals breeding, birthing, fattening on the new growth. Birds returning from wherever they spent the winter. The world transforming from a frozen wasteland into a landscape of abundance. The group's mood lifts. Not happiness exactly, but relief, gratitude. the recognition that you've survived another winter. You've made it through the worst. Summer is coming. You're 23 years old. You've survived 3 winters now. Each one took something from you. Physical damage that accumulated. The cough that might become a chronic condition. The back injury that never fully healed. The missing tooth from an infected abscess. The scar tissue on your hands from countless small injuries. But you're alive, still functional, still contributing, still valuable to the group. And that's what matters. In a world where survival is measured day by day, being alive is the ultimate success. The routine continues. Wake, work, eat, sleep, but now with full bellies and warmer weather. Now with hope that this summer will be good, that there will be enough food to build up reserves, that the next winter might be easier. You don't know what the future holds. You can't imagine a world different from this one, a world with agriculture and cities and technology. To you, this is permanent. This is how humans live. This is how humans have always lived. This is how humans will always live. You're wrong about that. But you won't live to see it. Neither will your children or your grandchildren. The transformation is coming, but it's thousands of years away. For now, this is your reality. Wake with the sun. Work until exhausted. Eat what you can find. Sleep in a cave around a fire. Repeat tomorrow. This is what it means to be human 40,000 years ago. No grand narrative, no epic quest, just survival. Day after day, season after season, year after year. And you're good at it. Your people have been doing this for tens of thousands of years. You've refined it, perfected it, developed a lifestyle that works with the environment rather than against it. You're not waiting for civilization. You're not trying to build cities or invent agriculture. You're living the life your ancestors lived, using the knowledge they accumulated, surviving the way they survived. And it works. You're still here, still alive, still human. The weeks after the thaw bring a kind of renaissance to your group. Spring is the season of renewal, not just for the plants and animals, but for the humans who depend on them. The landscape transforms from the monochrome palette of winter into something vibrant and alive. Your first task after the worst of winter passes is to check the territory. The group spreads out in pairs, walking the familiar paths, looking for changes. Winter storms can alter the landscape dramatically. Trees fall, streams change course, rock faces collapse. What was a reliable hunting ground in autumn might be inaccessible by spring. You and one of the elderly women walk east, toward the river valley. She moves slowly, her joints stiff from winter, but her eyes are sharp. She's looking for specific things. The first buds on certain trees, the emergence of particular plants, signs of animal activity. Each observation adds to the mental map she's been building for 4 decades. She stops at a clearing and kneels. With her digging stick, she probes the earth. A few inches down, she finds what she's looking for. Small bulbs, bitter and starchy, but edible. She marks the location in her mind. In a few weeks, when these bulbs mature, the group will return to harvest them. This is knowledge you're learning, not through formal instruction, but through observation and participation. You watch where she looks, what she notices, how she evaluates the landscape. Someday, when she's gone, you'll carry this knowledge. You'll be the one teaching the next generation where to find food when the hunting is bad. The river has changed course slightly. What was a shallow crossing point is now deeper, the current stronger. This matters. The group uses this crossing to reach hunting grounds on the far side. A deeper river means risk. Someone could be swept away, drowned. The elderly woman studies the flow, calculating. She decides it's passable, but barely. In a few weeks, as the snowmelt from the distant mountains increases, it will be too dangerous. This information goes into the collective knowledge base. The group will use this crossing while they can, but they'll also scout for alternatives. You return to the cave by midday. Other pairs are returning too, sharing what they found. One pair reports a cave bear den 3 miles north, occupied with fresh cubs. This is both a threat and an opportunity. A mother bear with cubs is extraordinarily dangerous. But in a few months, when the cubs are weaned and the family disperses, that den might become available. It's larger than your current shelter, deeper, better protected from wind. The group discusses this, not formally, just a conversation around the fire that evening, weighing options, considering possibilities. No decision is made yet, but the information is stored, ready to be acted on when conditions are right. The hunting improves dramatically with spring. Animals that had been scarce all winter are suddenly everywhere. Deer moving to higher ground to find fresh grazing. Migrating birds stopping to rest on their journey north. Fish running upstream to spawn. The hunters bring back a kill almost every other day now. Sometimes multiple kills. The group gorges, rebuilding depleted fat stores, regaining strength. Your body responds gratefully. Muscle mass returns. Energy levels rise. The constant background fatigue of winter fades. But abundance brings its own challenges. With more food available, the group's population will likely increase. Your sister is of breeding age. So are 2 of the young hunters. Partnerships will form. Children will be born. By this time next year, the group might have 25 or 26 members. More mouths to feed, more people to protect, but also more hunters, more gatherers, more hands to share the work. This is the natural cycle. Populations expand during good times, contract during bad times. Your group has been through this before. The elders remember when there were 30 people. Then a harsh winter and a disease outbreak reduced them to 15. Then a period of abundance brought them back to 23. Your sister does form a partnership. One of the young hunters, the one who slipped during the Auroch hunt. They don't announce it formally. They just start sleeping near each other, start sharing food, start behaving as a unit. The group accepts this without comment. It's natural, expected, necessary for the group's long-term survival. Within months, your sister is pregnant. This is obvious to everyone long before it would be to modern people. The elderly women notice changes in her behavior, her appetite, the way she moves. They begin teaching her, preparing her for what's coming. Childbirth in your world is dangerous. Many women die, many babies die. But the knowledge exists to maximize survival chances, and it's passed down carefully from experienced women to new mothers. Your responsibilities shift. With your sister pregnant, she can't do the same physical work. You take on more. Your mother takes on more. The group adjusts, redistributing tasks to account for her changing capabilities. This isn't resented. It's understood. Today, your sister needs support. Tomorrow, it might be you. That's how the group survives. Summer arrives in full force, the warmest season of the year, though by modern standards, it's still quite cold. Daily temperatures might reach 60 or 70 degrees. At night, it drops to 40, but this feels luxurious after the winter. The landscape is at peak productivity. Plant foods are abundant. Berries ripen on bushes. Nuts form on trees. Roots and tubers grow fat underground. The gathering expeditions return with full baskets almost daily. The hunters range further now, following migrating herds. Sometimes they're gone for days, tracking reindeer or horse herds that move across vast territories. They camp in temporary shelters, simple lean-tos made from branches, always keeping the fire alive, always watchful for predators. You join one of these extended hunts. 5 hunters, including you, tracking a small herd of wild horses. The hunt lasts 4 days. You cover maybe 40 miles, moving across terrain you've never seen before. This is how you learn the wider landscape. Not through maps or written directions, but through direct experience. You note landmarks, a distinctively shaped rock formation, a grove of white-barked trees, a small waterfall. Each one becomes a reference point in your mental geography. The hunt is successful. You bring down 2 horses, young mares. The meat is processed on site, divided into portions that can be carried. The hides are bundled for transport. Even the bones are collected, useful for making tools. The return journey is harder, carrying 60 pounds of meat and materials over rough terrain. But the satisfaction is real. You've contributed to the group's survival in a direct, measurable way. Tonight, everyone eats well because of this hunt. Back at the cave, life continues its rhythm. Your younger brother is growing. At 11, he's starting to show the physical changes of adolescence. Taller, stronger, more capable. He joins the hunters regularly now, still learning but increasingly useful. One day, he makes his first kill, a rabbit, small but significant. He tracked it, threw his spear accurately, brought it down cleanly. The group acknowledges this, not with ceremony or celebration, but with recognition. He's given a larger portion of the evening meal. He's permitted to sit with the hunters around the fire. He's transitioning from child to adult, from dependent to contributor. These milestones matter in your world. They mark progress toward full group membership. A boy who can hunt is valuable. A boy who can't is a burden. Your brother has proven himself. He'll live. The summer also brings encounters with other groups. At certain times of the year, multiple bands gather at traditional meeting places, usually near abundant resources like berry patches or fish runs. These gatherings serve multiple purposes. Trade is one. Your group has access to certain materials that others don't. High-quality flint from a quarry near your territory. Ochre for body decoration from a specific clay deposit. You trade these for materials you lack. Shells from distant coasts. Obsidian from volcanic regions hundreds of miles away. Specialized tools made by expert craftspeople. Partnership formation is another purpose. Young adults from different groups meet, assess each other, sometimes form bonds that lead to one person leaving their birth group to join another. This genetic exchange is important. It prevents inbreeding. It maintains the health of the population, and information sharing happens. Groups from different territories share knowledge about game movements, weather patterns, the location of new resources. A group from the south reports that the reindeer migration this year shifted east. A group from the north warns that wolves have been unusually aggressive in their territory. This information helps everyone make better survival decisions. But these gatherings also have tension. Resources are limited. Too many groups exploiting the same berry patch can strip it bare, leaving nothing for late arrivals. Conflicts arise. Usually, they're resolved through negotiation, sometimes through combat. You witness a fight between two young men from different groups. It starts as an argument over a woman, becomes physical. Fists and wrestling, watched by members of both groups. No weapons, no lethal force, just dominance assertion. One man wins, the other backs down. The woman chooses to partner with the winner. This is accepted by both groups. The conflict is resolved. Everyone moves on. This is social regulation at a broader scale. Multiple groups coexisting, competing, cooperating, finding equilibrium. It's not peaceful in any idealized sense, but it's functional. It works well enough that humans survive and even thrive. Your group stays at the gathering place for 2 weeks. Then you return to your territory, carrying traded goods and new information, ready to exploit the summer abundance. The work is constant. Even in summer, even with food plentiful, there's always something that needs doing. Hides to process, tools to make and repair, firewood to collect for the coming winter, food to preserve through smoking and drying. Your mother's partner, the one who replaced your father, proves his value during this period. He's an expert flint napper. While others are gathering food, he's producing spear points, cutting tools, scrapers. Each tool is carefully made, perfectly functional, designed for specific purposes. You watch him work sometimes. The precision required is extraordinary. He studies a piece of flint, identifying the internal fracture lines, then strikes in exactly the right place with exactly the right force. Flakes detach. Gradually, a shaped point emerges. One mistake, and the whole piece shatters. Hours of work wasted. But he rarely makes mistakes. His hands know the work too well. He teaches your brother, passes on the knowledge, shows him how to see the stone, how to predict how it will break, how to control the force of each strike. Your brother is clumsy at first. He breaks more pieces than he completes. But he's learning. In a few years, he'll be competent. In a decade, he might be an expert. This is how knowledge survives in your world. Direct transmission from skilled practitioners to apprentices. No books, no written instructions. Just demonstration, practice, correction, repetition. The summer progresses. Your sister's pregnancy advances. She's large now, moving carefully, unable to do heavy work. The elderly women watch her closely. They've delivered dozens of babies between them. They know what's normal and what's dangerous. The birth happens on a warm night in late summer. Your sister goes into labor in the evening. The elderly women take charge immediately. They move her to a quiet corner of the cave, away from the main fire. They have her walk, squat, move in ways that ease the baby's descent. Labor lasts through the night. You hear your sister's groans, her gasps of pain, but you don't interfere. This is women's knowledge, women's work. The men stay by the main fire, keeping it burning, staying out of the way. By dawn, the baby is born, a girl, small but healthy, screaming vigorously, clearly alive. Your sister is exhausted but functional. No excessive bleeding, no signs of infection. The elderly women are satisfied. The baby is cleaned, wrapped in soft rabbit fur, presented to the group. Your mother holds her granddaughter with an expression that might, in another context, be called joy. This is the future. This is how the group survives. Children born, raised, trained, becoming the next generation of hunters and gatherers and knowledge keepers. But there's also the unspoken awareness that this baby might not survive. Infant mortality in your world is catastrophic. Maybe half of all babies die before their first birthday. Disease, accidents, exposure, predation, all take their toll. This baby's survival is not guaranteed. It's hoped for, worked toward, but not assumed. The group adjusts again. A new infant means someone needs to be with her constantly. Your sister can't hunt or gather for months. She becomes primarily a mother, focused on keeping the baby alive and fed. Others take on her former tasks. This is accepted. Babies are valuable. They represent future survival. Supporting a new mother is an investment in the group's continuation. The autumn arrives again. The cycle continues. Temperatures drop. Animals begin their winter preparations. Plants go dormant. The group increases its preservation efforts, smoking meat, drying berries, collecting and storing nuts. Your nephew, your sister's baby, is 3 months old now. She's survived the most dangerous period. Still fragile, still vulnerable, but her chances improve each day she lives. Your sister is protective, but not paranoid. She keeps the baby close, wrapped against her body for warmth, fed frequently, watched constantly. The first snow falls in late autumn, just a dusting, melting by midday. But it's a warning. Winter is coming. Again. Always coming. The preparations intensify. Every available person is gathering firewood. The stockpile grows. The goal is to have enough wood to keep the fire burning continuously for 4 months. That's an enormous amount of wood. Dozens of trees worth. Hundreds of hours of labor. But it's necessary. The fire can't go out. Not in winter. So the work continues. You're cutting wood when you notice something. A pain in your chest. Not severe. Just a strange sensation. Tightness. Difficulty breathing deeply. You ignore it. Keep working. But it persists. Over the next few days, it worsens. Breathing becomes labored. You're tired all the time. Your appetite decreases. The elderly women notice. They examine you, pressing on your chest, listening to your breathing. They don't know what's wrong. They've seen this before. Sometimes people recover, sometimes they die. There's no treatment, just rest and hope. You're 23 years old. In your world, this might be the beginning of the end. Respiratory illness, probably some kind of infection or inflammation, potentially fatal. Your body is weakened from years of physical stress. Your immune system is compromised from repeated winters of near starvation. You're vulnerable, but you're also tough. Your body has survived things that would kill most modern humans. So you rest when you can, continue working when you must, and let your body fight. Weeks pass, the illness plateaus. Doesn't improve, but doesn't worsen. You're functional, but diminished. Can't work as hard or as long. Need more rest. But you're alive. The group adjusts. Others take on more of your tasks. This is accepted without resentment. Today, it's you who needs support. Tomorrow, it might be someone else. That's how survival works. Winter comes, the 4th winter of your life that you'll clearly remember. The cold descends. The snow accumulates. The world contracts again to the small sphere of the cave and the fire. Food becomes scarce. As always, the group eats through the reserves. Hunger returns as a constant companion. Your weakened body struggles with the deprivation. You lose weight rapidly, become skeletal, but you survive. Day after day, week after week. The respiratory issue persists, but doesn't kill you. You're permanently diminished, but functional. Enough to contribute. That's enough. Your sister's baby survives her first winter. This is significant. Babies who make it through one winter have decent odds of reaching adulthood. Your niece has passed a major survival threshold. Spring comes again. The thaw, the renewal, the return of abundance. Your body recovers somewhat. Not fully. You'll never be as strong as you were, but you regain weight, regain energy, remain useful to the group. You're 24 now. By the standards of your world, you're getting old. Most people don't make it past 30, but some do. The elderly women are proof of that. If you're lucky, if you're careful, if disease and injury and predators and starvation don't get you, you might have another decade or two. But you don't think in those terms. You don't plan for old age. You just live, day by day, season by season, doing what needs to be done, surviving as best you can. The hunters bring back a massive kill. A fully grown auroch, perhaps 1,000 pounds. It took all 5 hunters working together to bring it down. It was dangerous. One hunter was injured, gored in the leg. He'll survive, but he'll limp for the rest of his life. The auroch provides meat for weeks. The entire group gorges. Bellies stretched with protein and fat. Bodies rebuilding after the winter's deprivation. This is the feast part of the feast-famine cycle. You eat until you can't eat anymore. Store every possible calorie as body fat. Because famine is always coming. The summer is productive. Good weather. Abundant game. Successful hunts. The group thrives. Your niece grows. Your brother continues his transition to adulthood. Your sister heals from childbirth and resumes normal activities. Life continues, but you're aware, on some level, that you're declining. The respiratory issue never fully resolved. You tire easily, can't work as hard as you once could. The pain in your side, the one that started 2 years ago, has become constant. You've adapted to it, learned to function despite it, but it's always there. This is aging in the Ice Age, not the gradual decline of modern old age, cushioned by medicine and care, but rapid, harsh, unforgiving deterioration. Your body is breaking down, has been breaking down since adolescence. Every injury, every illness, every period of starvation leaves permanent damage. It accumulates. You're valuable to the group still. You have knowledge. You can teach. You can make tools. You can gather firewood, process hides, contribute in ways that don't require peak physical condition. So the group keeps you, feeds you, protects you, because you're still useful. But you understand, without anyone saying it explicitly, that this has limits. If you become too much of a burden, if you consume more resources than you contribute, the calculation changes. The group's survival comes first. Always. Individual survival is secondary. This isn't cruel, it's practical, realistic. The mathematics of survival in a world where resources are limited and margins are thin. Autumn arrives. The cycle continues. Winter preparations begin. Your niece is walking now, babbling in the proto-language of your people. She's learning, absorbing, becoming human in the fullest sense. Your brother is 16 now, a full adult by your culture's standards. He's proven himself as a hunter. He's partnered with one of the young women from your group. They'll probably have children soon. The cycle continues. You watch all this with a kind of detached awareness. You're part of the group's history now, part of the chain of survival that stretches back thousands of generations, and will continue for thousands more. You've played your role, survived when many didn't, contributed to the group's continuation, passed on knowledge to the next generation. That's enough. That has to be enough. The 5th winter of your adult life arrives. You're 25 now. In your world, this is old. Not ancient, but old. You've outlived many of your peers. The 2 hunters who died earlier, they never made it to your age. The children who died in previous winters, they never had the chance. You're a survivor. But survival has a cost. Your body carries the evidence. Scarred, damaged, worn down by relentless physical demands and inadequate nutrition. Winter is harder this year, not because the weather is worse, because you're weaker. The respiratory issue flares up again. The chest pain intensifies. Breathing becomes difficult. You spend more time resting, less time working. The group notices. Discussions happen that you're not part of. Calculations are made. How much food do you consume versus how much you contribute? Are you still valuable enough to support through winter? The answer, for now, is yes. You still know things, still teach, still make tools, slowly and carefully. The group decides you're worth keeping, but it's a close decision. You can sense that. You can see it in the way the hunters look at you sometimes. Assessing, calculating. You're not resentful. You understand. This is survival. This is how it has to work. The winter grinds on. You survive it. Barely. By spring, you're skeletal. Weak. Your cough is constant. Your chest pain never stops. You're alive, but diminished to the point where basic tasks exhaust you. The group discusses moving to the larger cave, the one the Bear family occupied 2 years ago. It's vacant now. Scouting parties confirm it's safe, clean, bigger than your current shelter. The move would happen in summer, when travel is easier. But there's a problem. Moving means everyone has to carry supplies. Tools, preserved food, hides, everything the group needs to survive. It's a communal effort requiring everyone to contribute. You can't carry much. Your weakened state means you'd be a burden during the move. The group discusses this, not cruelly, just practically. What to do about members who can't contribute to the move. The decision is that the move will happen. Those who can't keep up will be left behind. This isn't said explicitly to you, but you understand. You've always understood how this works. You're 26 years old. You've survived longer than most. You've contributed to the group's survival. You've passed on knowledge. You've done your part. But now your part is ending. The summer arrives. The group prepares for the move. Supplies are organized. Routes are scouted. A date is chosen. You watch the preparations with calm acceptance. No fear, no desperation, just awareness that this is how it ends for you. The morning of the move arrives. The group gathers. Everyone carries packs of supplies. The journey to the new cave will take 2 days. It's not far, but traveling with children and heavy loads means slow progress. You're sitting by the fire when they leave. Your mother stops, looks at you. There's sadness in her eyes, but also acceptance. She's lived in this world long enough to understand its rules. She doesn't say goodbye. Neither do you. She just touches your shoulder briefly. Then she turns and follows the group. Your sister stops too. She's carrying your niece, the child who survived her first winter, who represents the future. Your sister's eyes are wet, but she doesn't cry. She just nods at you. Acknowledgement. Gratitude for the protection and support you gave her over the years. Then she leaves too. Your brother is last. He's torn. You can see it. He wants to stay, wants to help you. But he has a partner now. Responsibilities. He has to go with the group. You gesture at him. A small wave. Permission to leave. He nods, turns, follows the others. You're alone now, sitting by a fire that you can't maintain, in a cave that will soon grow cold, with no food except what you can forage in your immediate surroundings. This is how it ends for many in your world. Not dramatically, not violently, just quietly. Left behind when you can't keep up anymore. You don't feel angry. Don't feel betrayed. This is the deal. Everyone knows it. Contribute or be left behind. You can't contribute anymore, so you're left behind. The fire burns down over the next few hours. You don't have the strength to gather more wood. The cave grows cold. You wrap yourself in your sleeping furs. Wait. Maybe an animal will come. A predator drawn by the smell of a dying human. That would be quick. Or maybe you'll just fade. Hunger and cold and illness finally claiming what they've been trying to claim for years. Either way, it's ending. You close your eyes. Think about your life. 26 years. In modern terms, tragically short. In your terms, a full life. You survived childhood, reached adulthood, contributed to your group, helped raise the next generation. You did what you were supposed to do. Survived as long as you could. Passed on what you knew. Made it possible for others to continue. That's all anyone can do. The cold deepens. Your breathing becomes shallow. The pain in your chest fades. Not because you're healing, because you're dying. This is it. This is the end. But it's not a tragic end. It's a natural end. The end that comes to everyone eventually in your harsh world. You lived. You survived. You did your part. That's the whole story. The fire goes out. The cave grows dark. The cold claims what's left. And somewhere, 2 days' journey away, your family is settling into a new cave. Your niece is learning to speak. Your brother is becoming a master hunter. Your sister is pregnant again. Life continues. The group survives. The chain remains unbroken. You were one link in that chain. One person in a lineage stretching back hundreds of thousands of years and forward into a future you can't imagine. You played your part. That's all that matters. That's all that ever mattered. The darkness is complete now. The cold is absolute. But somewhere, the fire still burns. The group survives. That has to be enough. That is enough. This is life. This is death. This is the Ice Age. This is human. And now, let's step back from that ending. Step back from that cave. Because while that's one way it could end, it's not the only way. Not every story finishes with being left behind. Some people do make it to old age. Some do become the elderly knowledge keepers. Some survive decades more. Let's imagine a different path. You're 26, weak, struggling, but the group decides you're valuable enough to bring on the move. They'll carry you if necessary. Your knowledge of plants, your tool-making skills, your memory of past winters, and how to survive them, these are worth the burden. So you come. Slowly, with help, but you come. The new cave is everything hoped for. Larger, deeper, better positioned. The group settles in, you recover somewhat. Not to full strength, never to full strength, but enough to function, to contribute. Years pass. You're 30 now, ancient by Ice Age standards. Your body is a catalogue of injuries and illnesses, but you're still here, still functional, still teaching. Your niece is 7. She follows you around, learning plant identification. Which roots are food? Which berries are poison? Which leaves can reduce fever? You're passing on what the elderly women taught you. The chain of knowledge continues. Your brother has 3 children. The group has grown to 28 people. More mouths to feed, but also more hands to help. The balance shifts, but holds. You're slower now. Can't hunt, can't haul wood, but you can make tools, can teach, can remember, can advise. These contributions matter. You're 35. The elderly women, your teachers, have both died. You're the oldest person in the group now, the primary knowledge keeper. When questions arise about plants or weather patterns, or how to survive unusual situations, people come to you. This is your value now. Not physical strength, not hunting prowess, but knowledge, memory, the accumulated wisdom of 3.5 decades of survival. You're 40. Your body is failing in new and interesting ways. Your vision is degrading. Your hearing is diminished. Your joints are so damaged that some days you can barely walk. But your mind is clear. You remember. You teach. You pass on what you know. Your niece is 18. She's pregnant with her first child. You're teaching her what you know about childbirth, about infant care, about the first crucial year. The same knowledge that was passed to you is now passing to the next generation. You're 42, your mother's age when your father died. But you're in much worse shape than she was. Your body has simply taken more damage over the years. You spend most of your time by the fire now, wrapped in furs, making small tools when your hands aren't too stiff, telling stories when people will listen, living day by day with the awareness that any day might be the last. But days keep coming, winter after winter, spring after spring. You keep surviving, keep contributing, keep mattering. You're 45. This is extraordinary. 45 years old in the Ice Age. You're a walking miracle, a survivor of countless catastrophes that should have killed you. The young hunters look at you with something approaching awe. You're older than they thought possible. You've survived things they can't imagine. You're living proof that survival is possible, even when it seems impossible. Your great niece is born, your niece's daughter. 3 generations you've witnessed. You've gone from being cared for as a child to caring for children, to teaching those children to have children of their own. This is the cycle. This is continuity. This is why you mattered. You're 50, half a century old. There's no one else even close to your age. You're the oldest person anyone in the group has ever known. You're legend, living history, a repository of knowledge stretching back before anyone else's memory. You can barely move now. Sitting by the fire is about all you can manage. But you still teach, still remember, still answer questions, still pass on what you know. Children sit with you, listening to stories about the great cold 3 generations ago, about the year the reindeer didn't come, about how to survive when everything goes wrong. These aren't entertaining tales. They're survival manuals encoded in narrative. And then, one morning, you don't wake up, peacefully, in your sleep, by the fire, surrounded by your group. Your body simply gave up. 50 years was enough, more than enough. The group mourns, not with elaborate ceremony, that's not your culture's way, but with acknowledgement, recognition of loss. You were the knowledge keeper, the living memory, the connection to the past. Now you're gone, but what you taught remains, in the minds of those you trained, in the children you educated, in the stories you told. You're buried outside the cave, a simple grave, covered with stones. Nothing elaborate, but marked, remembered. Life continues. The group survives. The knowledge you passed on gets used, tested, refined, passed on again. This is immortality in the Ice Age, not living forever, but teaching enough that what you knew doesn't die with you, making yourself so valuable that you're remembered, passing on enough knowledge that you continue to affect survival long after you're gone. That's the best possible outcome, the highest achievement, to live long enough to become a teacher, to know enough to be worth keeping alive, to pass on enough knowledge that you matter after death. That's the dream in your world. Not wealth, Not power, not fame. Just living long enough to teach, to matter, to contribute to the chain of survival that stretches across generations. Some achieve it, most don't. But it's possible. And that possibility, however slim, drives behavior, encourages learning, rewards knowledge, creates a culture where survival wisdom is valued above almost everything else. This is how humans survived the Ice Age. Not through individual strength, not through physical dominance, but through collective knowledge, accumulated wisdom, shared survival strategies passed from generation to generation. You were part of that. Whether you died at 26 or 50 or anywhere in between, you were part of the chain. You contributed. You mattered. And now, as we drift away from these Ice Age caves, away from these fires burning against the cold, away from these people surviving against impossible odds, we can appreciate something profound. This was real. This is how your ancestors lived. For thousands of years, for hundreds of generations, this was the human condition. No grocery stores, no hospitals, no heating systems or safety nets or insurance policies. Just people and fire and knowledge and the determination to survive one more day. And they did survive. Obviously, because you're here. Every single one of your ancestors made it to reproductive age. Every single one survived long enough to have children who survived to have children. An unbroken chain stretching back not just to the Ice Age, but millions of years before. You carry their genes, their survival instincts, their toughness, their determination. When you face challenges in your climate-controlled modern world, remember them. Remember the cave. Remember the fire. Remember what they survived. Your problems are real, but they're not Ice Age real. You have resources they couldn't imagine, support systems they couldn't dream of, opportunities for survival that would seem like magic to them. You come from survivors. That's not motivational speak. That's genetic fact. Every person reading this is descended from people who survived impossible circumstances, who kept going when giving up would have been easier, who found a way when there didn't seem to be a way. That's your inheritance. That's coded into your DNA. That survival drive, that refusal to quit, that determination to see tomorrow even when today is unbearable. Use it, honor it, remember it. The fire still burns, metaphorically. The struggle continues, in different forms. The human story goes on, and you're part of it, just like they were, just like your descendants will be. The cave is empty now. The fire is out. The Ice Age has ended, but the legacy remains. In you, in everyone, in the fact that humans survived and thrived and eventually built a world those cave dwellers couldn't have imagined. They would be proud, or maybe just confused. They didn't do what they did for glory or recognition. They did it to survive, to see another day, to raise children who might have better chances than they did. Simple motivations, powerful results. That's the human story. That's always been the human story. Survival, continuity, the determination to keep going no matter what. Sleep well with that knowledge. Rest peacefully, knowing where you came from. Dream of caves and fires and people who survived so you could exist. The past is always with us, in our genes, in our instincts, in the fundamental patterns of behavior that haven't changed despite 10,000 years of civilization. We're still them, just with better tools, still survivors, still making it work, still finding ways to keep going. That's what it means to be human. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, survive, continue, pass it on. That's the whole story. That's all there is. That's everything that matters. The rest is just details.